Another season of anime has run its course, and to say that this season has varied all across the board is putting it lightly. There have been some flops, some absolute top-of-the-line bangers, and some surprise hits, and you'll see which show I've chosen as my anime of the season. It might surprise you. I've watched 19 shows this season, all to the very end, and I've formed my opinions on how each show has done after much deliberation. Just as a little aside, you might see that I've excluded some other popular shows like Mushoku Tensei and Slime Isekai, but that's because I haven't had a chance to watch the first season and catch up to where the show is as of now. If you guys like the video and like these tier lists, don't forget to press that like button and subscribe to the channel to help it grow. All the support means the world to me, and I get to keep making videos you guys love. So without further ado, let's get right to the video. Starting off, we have Unnamed Memory, a witty and more adult show where a royal prince conquers a tower and seeks out a witch that he can form a contract with in hopes that he can break a curse that kills anybody he chooses as his wife. There's some good here and some bad. The dialogue between the main characters is a very big highlight here, and the banter is fun to follow. It reminds me of Undead Girl Murder Farce, but in a fantasy setting, since the main characters are both adults and both seem competent in their own respective worlds and abilities. The animation quality is okay and passable at times, but the side characters were basically introduced just to be background characters with nothing to do. This show isn't anything to write home about, but it can be good for a mindless watch if you're up for it. Mid-tier. Urusei Yatsura has just concluded its third season, and if my media literacy is correct, that's a miracle within its own right, then its last episode represents its conclusion for the series as a whole. Season 3 has been a fun ride with Ataru, Lum, and the rest of the cast, as the back half of the season focuses on the main dynamic of the two main characters and where their relationship stands as a whole. It hits on all the points that it was supposed to hit very well, and has stayed very consistent throughout its run, and especially this season. Its comedy is great, its romantic bits were great, and its quality hasn't dipped at all. A very hard feat to do in today's anime industry. With that in mind, I'd say it would fit right in the great tier if you're ever looking for a good comedy show to pass the time. Train to the End of the World is a show that absolutely surprised the hell out of me from the very first few minutes of the show. When I first gave it a watch, I was not expecting it to turn into a Madoka Magica-like anime with its environments and characters. The main character's mother is a red panda, and the rest of her neighborhood is all sorts of different animals in what's now a topsy-turvy world thanks to the 7G incident. Who doesn't love that kind of concept? But while I do absolutely love the concept and the character dynamics of the show, it can be pretty hard to keep up with the dialogue since it's very fast-paced, and you can miss some of the world building they explain if you're not fully focused. Other than that, this variation of cute girls doing unexplainable things gets a great ranking on this tier list. The Fable. For as hyped as the manga apparently was, this adaptation of it is as lackluster as something like this can be. I honestly would have dropped it by now if its story wasn't leading up to something actually interesting. The art style is extremely dull, and its go-to jokes get old extremely fast, especially with Fable and his obsession with Jackal. Not to mention, everybody else is just as boring, and the only character with even a little bit of entertainment value is Kojima, who's the scummiest person in the entire Yakuza, and even then it's not enough to save this show from being a slog to get through in the beginning. This show is 25 episodes long though, so hopefully it picks up quickly to at least bring it up to out of the yawn tier. Go Go Loser Ranger is a story of revenge following Fighter D, who has been oppressed by the Dragon Keepers of the Rangers for a whopping decade plus and is looking to free themselves from their tyrannical rule. Never in my life did I imagine I would look at a Power Rangers parody and think of this kind of concept, because I was hooked from day one, and its quality to back it up has been very much above my expectations. The main character can shapeshift with ease into anything he wants, thus fooling just about everybody that's not in on his plan from the start. I love the designs and the outfits of the show, and the weapons used are Star Wars-esque cool. This show has themes of fighting for your freedom and betrayal, and turns it into a story where sometimes you just don't know who to root for because everybody has their own defined motivation. Although I will say for sure, Ranmaru is the GOAT. Great tier. Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night from Studio Doga Kobo is a show that I've raved about in a video before, and my praise for it still holds up for the series now that the series is over. Its drama aspect is the biggest highlight, with a masterclass in direction, especially in the beginning of the season. This coming-of-age show deals with how important one's self-worth can be, and the journey around how you can shape your identity the way you want is done extremely well. And the contrast of the main characters, especially Mahiru and Kano, also highlight the different worlds in which they were brought up from, bringing an engaging dynamic right from the get-go. A very big recommendation for you to watch. That's why this belongs in the amazing tier. The Many Sides of Voice Actor Radio is a show where two high school students group up to form a radio show while being at odds with each other and form a rivalry with one another. I was slightly disappointed with this one, not because I fell for the Yuri bait when there was nothing to be had there, thank you Gundam Witch from Mercury, but because the concepts it wants to display don't land with the impact that I thought it would. If a character puts their career on the line because of family reasons, I don't expect everyone in a 10-mile radius to stare at you with the intention of not trying to talk to you, since talking to them for even a single word or phrase would be the end of their career, and just outright put a stop to their day as the main characters walk down a certain path on a sidewalk. That completely lessens the impact of the whole scene because of how unrealistic it is. Mid-tier. Tombo is a golf-focused anime revolving around an ex-pro golfer who goes to a remote island on the outskirts of Japan to work before meeting the phenom talent Tombo and seeing the hidden golf course on the island. Quite frankly, I was really disappointed with this one, all because of my misplaced expectations. I had thought there would be more elements of drama or comedy to keep me engaged here, but really the only thing that happens with this one is just old man surprised by kid being good at golf and nothing more than that. This happens for 12 episodes and makes me want to go to sleep. It's probably a show geared towards kids learning how to play golf anyway. Yawn tier. Grandpa and Grandma Turn Young Again is a show that's as simple as the title suggests. It's a slice of life where two old people turn young after eating a golden apple, and they try to adjust to their day-to-day lives in their newfound freedom and youth. All in all, this show isn't the best in any sense, but it does dive into topics that have very deep meaning, such as living your life to the fullest and making every day count like it's your last. The main characters are actually so fun to watch and so freaking cute that it'll make you want to have them as a part of your family. Their happiness is your happiness, and hopefully once you watch this show, you'll call your elder family members and tell them how much you love them, because that's what the show made me do by the last episode. Great tier. Dungeon Meshi is a masterclass and a poster child for how to properly world build. Another fantasy holdout from winter 2024, Dungeon Meshi has all the elements that one could want in a fantasy anime. Different species all across the board, character designs that pop out, and the food looks so freaking good when it has no right to be. This is actually just Food Wars, but you're in a survival Minecraft server instead of a high school. All the characters are very deep and introspective, and everything just flows together really well, in addition to some amazing fights and choreography. That's why I think this belongs in the amazing tier for this list. Bartender Glass of God, a laid-back but plot-focused anime following two corporate workers that hope to recruit one of the best bartenders in Japan. Not much really happens, but I do like how it dives into the subject of pain from the past through the eyes of multiple different people, and how the only happiness someone can find and lift themselves up with is in the form of a drink at a bar. I don't drink alcohol, nor have I ever drank in my entire life, but even I felt like a distinguished gentleman in a suit and tie while learning about some of the history of certain brands of malt, scotch, whiskey, or beer. It oddly makes me feel at home more than anything and really excels in the vibes. Good tier. Girls Band Cry. Earlier in the season, about a month ago, I had actually said that Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night was my pick for anime of the season. That was until Girls Band Cry came in with a late sprint to the finish line to take the crown for itself. The homie Damien, go sub to him by the way, pointed out some things that make sense for why it became my top ranked anime of the season. First and foremost, when it comes to the music aspect alone, Girls Band Cry has a soundtrack that's so pleasing to the ear, and you can get a sense of liberation that the characters feel playing on stage as opposed to Jellyfish. And the performance aspect was so much more visually stunning than its counterpart, especially in episode 11 at the festival. Now that's not to say that Jellyfish is bad in either of those departments, quite the opposite in fact. Jellyfish executed those aspects really well. It's just that Girls Band Cry did it perfectly. That's just two of the many reasons why I crowned this show as my anime of the season. Konosuba Season 3 returns after 7 years. Can you believe it's 7 years? And it brings the best season to date. Our lovable crew of misfits that fit perfectly are back to their usual hijinks and causing chaos throughout the town of Axel. This season focused on Lalatina, aka Darkness, and brought a lot much needed character development for her, and we finally get to understand her backstory and her motivations around it. Everything around the castle arc was so funny and tumultuous, and as usual, all the voice actors absolutely killed it in their roles. The one thing that I have to nitpick, however, is that Kazuma is wrong about one thing and one thing only. I think it's absolutely sexy as hell when a girl is as shredded as Darkness. Here's to hoping we don't have to wait 7 more years for the next season. Amazing tier. Kaiju number 8, let me just say it right now, is amazing. It's not every day that a shonen has a protagonist older than a teenager. It's even rarer that he's become to be extremely likable. Kafka Hibino is a 32-year-old kaiju cleanup worker that gets a chance to be a part of the JDF kaiju killing team after he swallowed a kaiju by chance. Because of that, he's become basically a father figure to Rino and Kikoru and just one of the bros. Who wouldn't want to have a drink with the bros? Anyways, the art style is very unique and fluid in a lot of areas, and the quality gets turned up, especially during the kaiju fights that creates a lot of badass moments. For what this show is, it is pretty gory, but still a very enjoyable ride through the first season as it comes to a close. Amazing tier. My Hero Academia Season 7 had a late start to the season, premiering about a month after the rest of its fellow shows, and so far, about 7 episodes in, it feels rushed? This part of the show feels like some scenes had to have been cut out of the manga in order for the big fights to fit in. We had a grand reveal in the first couple of episodes, and while it was impactful in the My Hero world, it didn't feel impactful to me since it actually just happens. Like, it was purposely set up this way because there would have been no other way to cover up this plot hole otherwise, and it's quite unfortunate. Otherwise, the quality is still pretty good, especially by Studio Bones quality, and the action is really good. But that's been a highlight of the show, like Jujutsu Kaisen in that regard. I just wish we had more time to breathe before the next fight, because we go from an already massive ground-changing fight in the last season to another huge fight with implications, followed by a 1 to 2 episode, I guess you can call training period, to what's supposedly the biggest fight ever now, and the whiplash is hard to deal with. Good tier. Demon Slayer Season 4 is pretty freaking good, all things considered. Everyone knows the Hashira training arc was supposed to be short, but 8 episodes feels like a perfect amount of time to develop some of the other Hashira and other lesser characters. I'm glad that the lower ranked Demon Slayers are getting some time to shine, even if some are tied up to posts just for Tanjiro's training, and it really does flesh them out well and makes them actual people instead of cannon fodder or anime mannequins, something that was sorely lacking from the seasons before. I haven't read the manga, but from what I've heard, the team at Ufotable was able to turn a page and a half of one of the training sessions in the manga into a whole 20-minute episode and actually make it satisfying to watch. Good on Ufotable. Great tier. Re-Monster is hands down, without a doubt, the worst show I've watched this season. Everything about this show is a mess. The animation quality is dog water, everybody including the main character is boring as hell, and the plot is a bland and boring snooze fest where it just follows a goblin that levels up in a new world, makes a mercenary company, and is told in the form of a verbal diary. What shocks me even more about this show is that somehow this was the story that inspired Re:Zero. Yes, the very same Re:Zero that everybody knows and loves, and whose season 3 comes in the fall. This is a certified dumpster fire. Windbreaker is what someone could call the better Tokyo Revengers. Just for clarification, haven't seen it, this is only hearsay. And they'd be in the right. Every character that was featured in the first season is memorable in its own right, especially the big boss man of Bofurine. All the designs are interesting and unique, especially Eye Patch Guy and Big Boss Man. And following each backstory during the 1v1s, even if it did slow the pace a lot, made for a good job fleshing out each character and getting invested in their stories and journeys. I'm excited to see what Season 2 has to offer, and I'll be keeping tabs on the show going forward. Great tier. Eurocamp Season 3 continues to build its reputation as one of the coziest and comfiest shows in anime, as the girls take us to more hidden camping spots and other tourist attractions the rest of Japan has to offer. From cool retro trains to sakura trees coming into full bloom, it's still as much of a wholesome and fun experience, and very much encouraged to be watched by anybody with even the slightest interest in calm and relaxing outdoor activities. Also, the food looks bussin' as usual. Always gets my mouth watering every time. But I thought it was extremely funny when I saw that the title for one of the episodes was titled The Food Porn Begins. Really caught me off guard. Amazing tier. That's all the shows on this list. Here it is in all of its tier list glory. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. This kind of video is something I would like to do at the end of every anime season, and your support helps keep that going. So please, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another upload. I stream on twitch.tv/IndicoKuma, where I stream 3 to 4 times a week, so go check me out on there. I also have another YouTube channel where I post the stream highlights, and that channel will be down in the description. That's going to be it from me, guys. Thank you again for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.